How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another gardening trick tip with your weekend gardener. Today I wanted to cover how to keep your cucubit crops, so whether it be cucumbers, gourds, melons, pumpkins, squash, how to keep these fruits from rotting while they grow. You know, instead of getting that nasty rotted spot on the bottom where bugs could eat into it and it just looks generally not healthy. This is how to prevent some of that and allow your gourds, squash, pumpkins to look perfect throughout their growth and into harvest. So let's get into it. So there are actually numerous ways to go about this, and I'll show you the two main methods that I like to use, or just so happen to be using this season. So the first and probably the simplest, most accessible way to go about doing this, preventing your gourds or any cucubits from rotting on the underside, is to slip something underneath them, something that doesn't absorb water and is fairly dry throughout, consistently dry. So here I'm just using a piece of bark that I found in my yard, and I simply slipped it underneath this little gourd here that was just pollinated and starting to fill in now. There's one right next to it as well that I did the same thing to. Now, something as small as a piece of bark can be used in this case if you're just growing small gourds. You know, you're not growing a massive pumpkin or a giant watermelon. You can use something very small. So here I used bark. Over here I found this rounded piece of brick. I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but just another example. See, this fits in it nice and round. It fits in like a puzzle piece, and it will actually just grow into that. And it will even prevent the underside from being flat, so you can actually have a perfectly round gourd. So that isn't to say that the surfaces you place under your cucubits aren't going to get wet from time to time. So what would be extra helpful is if maybe after you water your garden or after it rains, to actually come out and with a paper towel or some kind of cloth and just wipe down the surface directly underneath and also on the fruit itself, and just place it back. This will just ensure the longevity of the dryness of your fruits. Now, the second method I like to employ is trellising. Whether you have a physical trellis that you can buy, or you have very tall plants such as these sunflowers that can act as a natural trellis. As you can see, I have both being used here. My intention was to actually use the real trellis, the unnatural trellis, as the climbing agent, but then these sunflowers just took off, and now I have my gourd vines growing all over these sunflowers here. As you can see, this guy is just going to dangle from the vine that's crawling up the sunflower. Now, this is the most optimal, foolproof method of getting that perfect gourd or cucumber or melon, because it's not touching the ground at all. It is entirely airborne other than being attached to the vine, so nothing can access it. No pests or moisture. I mean, pests could get to it, but if that's your issue still, I would recommend a pesticide. But this guy here is just going to grow and dangle from the vine, from the sunflower, and this vine continues, and it continues to grow straight up this sunflower. So it's very fun to do as well, because you can get all these gourds. As you can see here, this vine has more to produce, just dangling from your tall plants. It's very, very fun to do. These sunflowers are also fairly sturdy. They're not just some spindly twigs, and I have them tied up as well. So yeah, this is just a few simple tips, and these sunflowers are actually starting to open. Very nice. A few simple tips to produce consistently nice and perfect gourds, melons, any of your cucubits. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and found it helpful. Take care.